Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, here with a bunch of my esteemed colleagues. And today we're going to be talking about players' tips.
But before we do that, maybe we should introduce ourselves.
Nah, they know who I am, that's enough.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Ted.
I'm Nate.
So, okay, we were just having this discussion while Ted was out of the room, and we're kind of arguing back and forth about the whole concept of an adventurer and adventuring. To me, my claim is they're actually it's a very artificial term, and it's not. I don't really feel like it's a real world thing. It's kind of like made up around the mechanics of the game, sort of deal. And how we started arguing about this was, or discussing, or throwing things at each other,
Yelling. It was just lots of
Passion. There was
But-
passion.
I was talking about how after every one of my sessions, I just want to level up my players, and as long as it's at a stopping spot, I'm going to probably just say time passes, in between each adventures, because I've always had this thing where I tended to run one adventure into the other, and it's like, it was kind of cool for what we did, but when you look at the passage of time, it's like you're 7th level and 2 weeks have gone by.
Yeah.
And that may have been a bunch of sessions, but it was like too much stuff that happened in between.
It seems unrealistic.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I learned so much.
Another
in
good
2 weeks.
example of it is, and I want to borrow for future campaigns, is Dresden Files, where nothing goes on for a while, and then you read a book that happens over the course of 1 or 2 days, and he doesn't sleep at all, almost like a season of 24.
Right.
So, I guess the argument was, you were saying, what about adventurers?
Well, basically, I was looking at them as sort of, it's almost like a freelancer that has a really big project, and then they can take off the next 1 to 3 months or something like that. So they get this really big gig, they work their ass off, and then they go on a quasi vacation.
Okay,
for a month.
let's stop there. What's an adventurer?
Okay, so
What is your opinion here?
I would say an adventurer overall is a guy that either is some kind of epic hero or a person that was in the right place at the wrong time and something occurs and they either have to run or, the way most fantasy novels start. At first level adventurer. So that's I guess that's kind of gives me that feeling. And then there's, I would say, the NPC version of an adventurer, like a Tomb Raider or some kind of, basically those are the guys who are like, wait, you're not doing this for justice? I don't like you. I always kind of enjoy the good, the good and the upright citizen kind of adventurer rather than the sly or the grave robbing kind of adventurer.
You go adventurer.
Well, my history of stuff at the table has always been the progressive story, and rarely, unless it's physically sought out by the players, because it's this wizard wants to create a magic item, bless you, or this guy wants to forge this weapon. It always has been the story just rolls, and you might take a week here or a day there while you're waiting for something to happen. But it's never as you said, the Dresden Files, where it's a year and a half passes or 8 months passes with nothing going on. That's practically unheard of at the gaming table where I've sat.
So going back to just briefly to the freelancer example, the term freelancer actually came from freebooting knights. They were mercenary knights that would go, and they were lances for hire. So freelancing actually came out of soldiers for hire.
They're mercenaries.
So they're
Exactly.
mercenary knights.
So it's pretty apropos in a way for when you.
So in that case, yeah, that's a job, but I don't a mercenary is not an adventurer. Adventurer is, in this theme,
a mercenary could be an adventurer.
It could
it's just
be,
not. It's not always.
But
the case.
the evolution to me is very weird and artificial. In Forgotten Realms, I don't know if they did it in Greyhawk or not, but definitely in Forgotten Realms, they started with adventuring companies. So with that, comment, subscribe, share.
Check us out on nerdarchy.com.
Or even on Facebook.
On Twitter.
Or really all kinds of places.
Or Reddit. Reddit.
Just type in Nerdarchy, you'll find us somewhere.
But with that, until next time, my friends,
Stay nerdy.